The power of self-belief. The winter wind swept through the streets of New York, slicing through the narrow alleys like invisible knives. Neon lights flickered, reflecting off puddles left by the evening rain. Mina, a young Pakistani woman, stood by the window of her tiny studio apartment on the Lower East Side, clutching a worn notebook. She had arrived in America 3 years ago, chasing a dream that seemed just out of reach, and every failure she endured had been quietly recorded in those pages. Mina's story wasn't unique, yet it felt painfully personal. She had left behind a life of certainty, her family, her home, the comfort of knowing every face in her neighborhood, to step into a world that had no promises for her. She worked as a waitress by day and attended night classes at a community college, barely scraping together rent while trying to nurture a dream of becoming a software engineer. Every rejection email she received from tech companies had stung more than the last. That night, as snow began to fall, Mina felt an ache that had nothing to do with the cold. She flipped through her notebook and paused on a page filled with the words she had written months ago: "If I believe in myself, nothing else matters." Her penmanship was shaky, but the words were bold, almost defiant. She whispered them to herself: "Nothing else matters." The next morning, the city was alive with a harsh, relentless energy. Mina bundled herself in a threadbare coat and stepped into the chaos of Manhattan. She was late for an interview at a small but innovative tech startup. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the strap of her backpack, feeling the weight of every doubt that had haunted her journey. Inside the office, the hiring manager, a stern man named Mr. Caldwell, glanced at her resume without much interest. "So, you've been working at a diner for the past 3 years?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "How does that prepare you for a software development role?" Mina took a deep breath, feeling the familiar surge of fear. But then she remembered every late night she had spent coding, debugging, and building small projects on her laptop, projects she had once thought were too small to matter. She straightened her shoulders and looked him in the eye. "It prepared me to never give up," she said firmly. "Every day, I solved problems I didn't think I could. I learned to work under pressure. And most importantly, I learned to believe in myself even when no one else did." Mr. Caldwell leaned back, surprised by her conviction. He asked a few technical questions, and though Mina stumbled on one or two, her confidence never wavered. By the end of the interview, he wasn't just impressed, he was intrigued. A week later, Mina received the email she had dreamed of, an offer letter from the startup. She read it over and over, tears blurring the words, but before she could fully rejoice, reality hit again. Rent was overdue, her mother back home was struggling financially, and the sense of being an outsider in a foreign city never fully disappeared. That evening, Mina went for a walk in Central Park. Snowflakes settled on her hair and eyelashes, and the city's noise felt distant, almost dreamlike. She noticed a group of children building a small snow fort. One boy, frustrated, kicked the snow angrily and muttered, "I'll never get it right." Mina smiled, recognizing the echo of her own fears in that child. She knelt beside him and said, "You know, sometimes it takes trying 100 times before you succeed. But every time you try, you learn something. And if you believe in yourself, even just a little, you can get it right." The boy paused, then looked at her with wide eyes. "Really?" Mina nodded. "Really? I'm living proof." The encounter was brief, but it stayed with her. She realized that self-belief wasn't about eliminating fear, it was about moving forward despite it. Months passed. Mina threw herself into her work at the startup, taking on challenging projects and often staying late to learn new technologies. Slowly, she began to earn recognition. Her colleagues admired her tenacity, and her manager noticed her ability to solve problems creatively. One evening, Mr. Caldwell called her into his office. "You've come a long way," he said. "I want you to lead a major project for us. It's high stakes, but I trust you can do it." Mina's heart raced. The opportunity was huge, but the fear of failure was also immense. That night, she sat in her apartment, staring at her notebook. She read the words she had written 3 years ago and whispered them aloud: "If I believe in myself, nothing else matters." The project was grueling. Mina faced countless setbacks, software bugs, unexpected client demands, and moments of self-doubt so intense she almost quit. But every time she stumbled, she returned to that mantra. She reminded herself of the nights she had spent coding alone, of the sacrifices she had made, of every no that had pushed her closer to a yes. And then, finally, the breakthrough came. The project launched successfully, exceeding client expectations. Mina's team celebrated, but she felt a quiet, profound victory within herself. She had done it not because someone else believed in her, but because she had never stopped believing in herself. News of her success spread. Soon, other startups sought her expertise, and she found herself invited to speak at conferences about her journey. She shared her story with aspiring tech enthusiasts, immigrants, and young women struggling to break into the industry. Every time she spoke, she felt a new power in her voice, the power of self-belief transforming into inspiration for others. One night, as she walked home through a quiet, snow-dusted street, she noticed the same little park where she had encouraged the boy months ago. Children were building snow forts again. One of them looked up and waved at her, and she waved back with a smile. She understood then that self-belief wasn't just a personal victory, it was contagious. It sparked hope, courage, and determination in others. Mina returned to her apartment, opened her notebook, and wrote a single line at the bottom of the last page: "Belief in yourself is the first step toward changing the world." She closed it gently, feeling the weight of her journey and the limitless possibility ahead. Some dreams begin quietly, in the dark corners of a small apartment. Some take years, patience, and pain. But when self-belief burns brightly enough, it can illuminate a path through even the coldest, darkest nights. Mina had found her light, and with it, the power to not only transform her own life but to inspire others to do the same. And as the city lights flickered and the snow fell softly outside her window, she whispered once more, with a quiet, unshakable certainty, "I believe in myself, and that is enough."